Hello, and welcome to another tutorial. This time we're going to be dealing with trivia, right? I was waiting for Man of Steel to start, and the movie theater that I was in plays this trivia game, basically, wait for everyone to get in the theater so it can actually start, and just sort of gives you something to watch. And they had this, weird-looking nuclear jello thing on top of, like, a beveled cube, and it had questions that were like, who is the most winning actress in terms of the Academy Awards, or whatever, and they would say they would have they would have four options for it, and after a certain amount of time it would then check the answer to see if you were right or not. So I figured that would be something that would be fairly simple to do, and it turns out it is. So we'll get started here. With this cube, just the default scene or whatever, you can you can just bevel this one side here, so select the edge and bevel, Control B, bevels, and then just kind of go up. And then by using your scroll wheel, you can make it nice and smooth. I want to do the same thing over here, so Control B and screw that up. Alright, then just grab one side of this thing and go it over there, and then I think I will bevel this side as well, so Control B and Control B, and then you got to move your thing since it is parallel to where we are. It's very difficult to bevel that. So all right, so there's our little beveled guy. Cool. All right, and then we can add in our the next piece of it, as I refer to it, the nuclear jello looking thing. So we'll scale that down, scale it on the x-axis, and it was just sort of sitting right on top of it. Which, if you haven't seen Man of Steel, I would definitely go watch it. It's probably at least my favorite movie that I've seen this year so far. So that's saying something, since I watch a lot of movies. I am a very, very large movie nerd, and this was sort of pulled up here like that, so it was a little bit off center. Okay, so we'll go into 1 and sort of set up our camera to, I think that's what we want it to look like. All right, cool. So let's drag that up at a ground plane. At least whenever I Control C, Control. You just don't want to do that. There we go. Whenever I was watching just sort of trying to get what exactly they were attempting to do with this thing, it was very, very basic, and I think it was probably like a free animation that they did basically to be able to do that. So again, just some very basic gradient action on the floor there, and then yeah, so that'll pretty much be our floor, and that'll be it. We'll do this in the Cycles Render Engine, and at the end of this I'm going to talk about some optimizations that you can do, because I actually ran into a whole bunch of issues rendering this thing out because of the materials that we're going to use. Okay, so now we want to add in our text, so whatever question you want to use. So I'm trying to think of a good one. I used purple. Oh, we'll use orange now. What? How many words rhyme RHY with orange? That is super annoying. Holy crap. Alright, so we have our how many words that I didn't spell right, but again, we can fix that. And then move that in. We'll scale that down a little bit. Alright, so let's fix what we didn't spell right. Orange is not a proper name there, so that doesn't make any sense. Whoa. The screencast keys on typing. I never knew how horrible that could be. How many words rhyme with orange? Enter that, and then scale that down again. Move it up. Alright, so that's where our text is going to be. And obviously, since it's a question, right, it'll have a question mark on it. You can change this font if you want. I'm not going to deal with it because, I mean, it's Blender. It's fine. But we do want to make it a little more interesting looking. So pull that back in there a little bit, and then we'll extrude it to make it more three-dimensional. And pull that into the beveled cube, and then I'll also bevel this a little bit. So again, we get some nice little shapes or shades, glimmers, whatever we render this. Okay, so pretty good there, and then we can just duplicate that, and then get rid of all these and put our 0, and then move over a little bit and put 3, then we'll put 1, then we'll put 4. Alright, so move that over. Since they had these little boxes that eventually got checked, so Move that guy over there. Go up. Where are you? Oh, there. In order to see that little cursor, I just tabbed out of edit mode and hit Z, and then tabbed back in, and then we finally get that cursor. So okay, so we have 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 0, 3, 1, or 4. Obviously, the answer to this is 0, but we'll get to there a little bit later. All right, so add in a plane, rotate it on the x-axis, and then hit 1, and then hit I, and just bring that in just a little bit, and that'll be our box. Face select, delete the face, and double tap A and scale that in, and then we'll move that up and make sure that's an appropriate size. I think that's a little small, so that'll be better. All right, so then obviously that's not where we want it to be, so move that up, tap in edit mode, extrude it out, and we have our one box, and then we can just add another box right down there, and select those two boxes and duplicate them over there. All right, so we have our 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we need a check, right? And the way that we're going to go about getting this check is by using a curve, and we're going to use the Bezier curve because it's significantly easier to deal with whenever you're creating a check. So I think I'll rotate on the x-axis since that's where it'll be, and then since it'll be on 0, kind of move that up, move it over. All right, so then we will take this and hit R and rotate it, and grab it, stick it there, and we'll pull this in just a little bit, and then we'll take that and stick that up, and you can sort of see how that's already making a check. So we'll put that down there, and that down there, and we'll pull that in just a little bit, we'll scale that, or we'll grab that and move that down, so we have our little guy there. So hit everything in SY0, ooh, SY0, and that will then make it all flat. So then move that up a little bit and scale that down. Okay, there's our check. I think I don't want that to be as high as it is. And then that can go down too. And then this will come up. Alright, so there's our little checkbox there, right? Check, check, check. So then we can, we want a full on this, on the object data. So a full, whatever, full check, and then we want to bevel it so it's a nice fat guy, and then yes, extrude it just whatever, doesn't matter, so we'll leave that as that. Alright, so that's our check, and I kind of probably want to move that in there a little bit more, and I guess I want to scale it up too, since make it nice and noticeable that that is the correct answer. Right, so take a look at that, and that is, oh, that's a meaty looking check right there, man. Alright, so yeah, that's our generic setup, and then so we're gonna, well, I guess we'll texture it first, or material it, I guess. So this was like a weird glowing cube, so we kind of want to make a jello looking thing, I thought, whenever I looked at it. So if we go to the node editor and click on the node tree, and then go to the object, which we are on, we can then add in a new texture, or new material, and we want to not use a diffuse, we want to use a we'll want an emission, and we'll make that green, and then we'll want to use the combination of a glass and a reflective. So shader, glass, glass, and shader, refraction, I'm sorry, refraction is what I meant to say, not reflective. Alright, so then we can add a mix shader in there, put that in there, and that in there. Alright, and then we'll duplicate that so that we have our emission coming out of there to make it a little more glowy. And then since our shader's on top, this value, the higher it is, the more we're going to value the bottom part of it. So we'll make that like 0.89 or something like that to see what that looks like, and then stick that into the surface. And we don't have any lights on. We'll turn off the background there. So remove. Here we go, remove, and then we'll add in some lights, just a mesh. Move that up, move that back, rotate on the z-axis, scale it up, add that as a new emission, emission. We'll make that like, I don't know, 5 or 8, and then duplicate that, move it over, rotate on the z-axis, hit this 2 button, and then make it 5. Okay, so that'll give us our basic lighting, I guess, at least for right now. So you can sort of see, if you go into 0, pad 0, we gotta fix this camera a whole lot. That's not looking very good. Alright, we also gotta tab into edit mode and move that up. Control Alt, come on. Oh, nope. Control Alt, and then move all those up. Go back into numpad 0. Alright, so that's better. I also want to smooth that out. So smooth. Yeah, that'll be better. And so we go to render mode. We can sort of see that obviously we're floating there, but we don't care about that. But right now we're looking at this guy, so that needs to be a lot brighter and look a lot cooler. So we'll make that like 2, already becoming more orange. And I'll change the factor. I want more glass and than reflective. So if I'm looking at this in terms of how I mix it, the higher the value, the more the lower one is used. So if I move 2, it becomes more glass. And then I'll make the roughness a little bit higher to like 0.05 or something like that. And we'll make it 1.2 probably. Again, this is sort of a fake little thing. You can look up IOR values all you want, but for right now I'm not going to deal with it. And then I want our reflective to be also green. So you can sort of see how that kind of changed that a little bit. It'll make it, again, look more jello-y. And then I think we want some more edges in there. So very simply, you can do that by having it selected and just Control B. And Control B. No, you don't want to do that. What a jerk. Alright, so apparently we lose there, and that's fine. You really don't want to do that. Hooray! Alright. That makes me very sad. Wow. Whatever. Is that it? There we go. I had to go out, not in. So I just scrolled my mouse wheel up, make that a little bit tighter there. Okay, so there we go. That's a little bit better. And then smooth that and put a subsurf on there, so that'll make that look at least a little bit better. Alright, so that's going to be our nuclear jello. We'll do some more stuff to it in a little bit, but for right now we'll leave it as that. These lights are entirely too bright, so you can either scale them down and move them away, or you can turn the value down. I'm going to scale them down and move them away because I want it to look a little more artificial than... Oh, right. Let's save. The trivia. Toot. Perfect. Alright. So then, let's look at that again. Alright, that's a little bit better. Again, it's a little more unnatural looking, and that's kind of what we're going for. I probably do want to scale that up a little bit more. Alright, so the way that the other things that we can do, since it was sort of a metallic looking thing, we just want to make a metal. So in this case, we're going to use a glossy. A very simple glossy. We're going to turn it down in terms of the specularity, or yeah, the color of it, so it's a little dull, weird looking. And then we're going to add like probably a 0.01, 0.03, just pretty reflective, but not blinding reflective. And then the same thing can go for this guy, except we're going to use this guy, the anistrophic, whatever, that one, and turn this value up very high, and turn this value probably 0.01, yeah, probably. And okay, so that will be that, and then we'll make that a little bit more dull, because we want our white words, our nice white diffuse words, to be beautiful. Alright, so we selected that and we added the material of white, and then what we can do is we can box select all of these, or border select as that is called, and get rid of everything. We don't want that either. Okay, and so all we do is hit Control L, and we can link the materials. So you saw that that got a little bit brighter, and now they all have the white material on them. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Alright, so you can see, right, that everything is a little bit black, right, because it's very, very reflective, and that's all we have. So we will want to turn up the reflectivity, or the roughness on there a whole bunch. So we'll do that guy, and then this guy will make much more reflective too. Let's see what that looks like. Alright, so we are going to have to add in a diffuse for all of these, because that is, you can't see anything. So again, to make something less glossy, just add a diffuse to it. So a mix shader, and since again, we want make that 0.8, and then for this one here, this glossy, we'll add in another shader of diffuse and another shader of mix, then we'll put that, and then we'll probably make that 0.9, make it a little more plastic looking. And when we render that, yeah, okay, that looks, you can actually see more stuff. You can see a lot more stuff there, and the lighting is okay. This I don't like. I'm going to make that much darker. But you don't want to do that, do you? Yeah, so I'm thinking 0.2. So yeah, much better. So again, we have the dull diffuse color, but we still want to use more of the this guy over here. So 0, 1. That's probably better. Okay, so we're good on that, and then we want to move these guys down so we're on par with the ground there. Woo! All right, we're down. Okay. All right, and then in order to get this looking a little more interesting, we'll move this over here, rotate it on the x-axis, scale it down on the z-axis, and position it behind this guy. So then, look at that, we want to go up, 0, scale it down, move it over. Alright, so that's a little bit better. So scale it on the x-axis. And then so we will also hit that 2 and make that green. And then we don't want it to be too powerful, so we'll make it like a 2. And save that, and then take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so you can sort of see like now that the cube has edges and stuff like that we can sort of see. Okay, so in order to animate this, it's fairly simple, at least the way I did it. So we hit 7, and on this object we'll just add in an empty. So add empty. Plain axes is fine. So then sort of position it where you like the middle of the scene, or where you want the camera to be focused. And then you keep that and that, and then we can add I think we want to just parent it. Yes, and so then we want to then leave that as it is, and other way around. All right. So select the camera and parent it to. Come on. We're lagging out here. All right, select camera, select that, Control P. All right, so then when we move this, the camera moves on the z-axis with it, so we don't have to try to figure out exactly how far away we need to be and stuff like that. So again, select the camera, select the empty, and Control P, set parent. Okay, so on the first frame of this thing, the timeline, we will move our camera over there. All right, let's take a look. Okay, then we just hit I. Yeah, we'll do it that way. I location rotation, and then move probably 120 frames and rotate so that we're sort of there. I location rotation. Obviously, we don't want everyone to see the big black hole over there, so I'll move that. Woo! Move that there. All right, so then we're good there. So let's take a look. Boom, boom. Perfect. Okay. So then once we get to frame 20, we want them to read for a little bit, right? Since they may not have been paying attention. And so on frame 140, we want to select this guy and make him check. Right now, he's checked. So the way we go about doing that is we change this, and we have this bevel factor, start and end. So what we can do is turn down that bevel factor and insert a keyframe. So it's always 0 up until that point. And then go, let's say, we'll go like 30 frames, so it's nice and slow, and turn the bevel factor back up and insert a keyframe on that. So whenever we're covering that, it'll just, you can sort of see that that's doing that. See, check, unchecked, check, unchecked, check, unchecked, check, unchecked. Okay, you get the idea. So then whenever we're playing this, with some music playing in the background, blah 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 blah, and then so how many words rhyme with worms? I think it's 2. Oh man, okay, so it's 0, and voila, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It was super quick. But the next part of this I'm going to break into 2 parts because I think it's important, and it's more of a short tutorial, but it can be useful for other reasons as well. Okay, so